Hey, Carlos, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, let's go ahead and get a background screen going on here. What do we feel like today? Today we are, should we do the seamless one?
Yeah.
Let's
We're
see if
doing
I
an
can,
official seamless meeting.
I don't know if I have a seamless logo on here yet. I don't, but I can add one. How about, where is the big logo? There it is. Could not add background. Why could it not add the background? That was weird. Let's try that one. Minimum size, maximum size. Okay, so let's try something bigger. This one's 700 by 400. That should be working. Why is it reversed now? Can you hear me, Carlos?
I can hear you.
Look, we're backwards. Why is my logo backwards?
That's probably because of your web camera. Your web camera is mirror. You have to like set your webcam to like mirror the image or some stuff like that. Maybe something like that. There we go. Looks good now.
It's not in reverse?
No, it looks right to me.
Okay, it's just in reverse to me then.
Yeah.
All right, we got the first person in the lobby.
Few people now.
Whole bunch of people now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me finish this email real quick and then I'll start letting everybody in.
Yeah, I'm working on finishing up one of my projects.
You got this BioCure one under control?
What's the BioCure one? Which one?
The porting?
Yeah, There's really not much for us to do because porting is always a pulling process. So it has to be the acquirer has to pull the numbers from us.
I know. I'm just saying you gave him all the information that he needs.
Yeah, he's gonna CC me. He's gonna email them and CC me on it, and I'll do what I can. Okay. All right. I gotta make a phone call real quick, but I'll be here.
Okay. Just mute yourself.
Yep.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Carrie. There's John. Wouldn't allow him in for a second.
Hey, John. Remember, no one can talk because you have them blocked from unmuting.
Yeah, I saw John was trying to unmute. I think I allowed him to unmute just now. Did I?
Yes, you did.
There he is.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
Yeah, I guess we can allow some mics if people want to speak. There we go. If you want to unmute now, Carrie and Chris, I allowed you guys to unmute also. Did you notice I spotlighted myself though? I'm now in the center of the screen.
Well, I would turn on my camera, but I've been off for 3 days, so I look like it, unshaven, wearing a t-shirt.
That's how I normally am.
Yeah.
Give everybody a few more minutes to join up. Got a small group today. Hey, Chris. Oh, he unmuted and then muted himself.
Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Just doing a little multitasking until we get started.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll get started in just another, well, right now. Let's get started. Carlos, you here with me?
I am here. I'm finishing up another task real quick, but I'll be available in just a couple minutes. So you can start, and I got my ear.
All right, no problem. I am gonna share my screen here, guys. I'm gonna show you some stuff about Teams. So we're doing our session today on Teams, about Teams. So we're kind of getting two birds with one stone. So when you get into Teams, you know, we've got all these little buttons off to the side. You can actually add more buttons here if you want, or if you have different features. I've got the calling feature, which is actually the ability to make phone calls right out of Teams. I can actually dial real numbers, call people. I can forward it, and basically it becomes a phone. It's a voice over IP phone that can work on both on my mobile phone as a secondary line or a business line, or I can make phone calls out of here. At the top, you have your activity feed, which is basically everything that's happened in Teams in the last couple minutes or so. Depending on how much activity you have, it'll scroll down, and then you can even look for certain histories in that feed, right? So if I want to find something in that feed, I can search for it. Maybe I want to find something that I got from Miguel. It'll look for any recent history. Chat is exactly what it says. It's where we go in to chat to people, right? So if I wanted to send Carlos here a message, I could send him thanks a lot, or I can type any message I want. If I want to make it important, there's this little exclamation point down here, and I can send him, hey, this is important. And on his screen, it'll show up and it'll actually make a bing noise if he's got headphones or anything activated. If he's got Teams on his cell phone, he'll get a notice there. If it's super important, one of the things that you can do is you can do urgent message, right? And as it says here, they'll get notified every 2 minutes for up to 20 minutes until they reply. So if I hit this, every 2 minutes, he's getting this little notification that it's going on. Also in the chat, you can add more people. So if I wanted to add, say, Matt Poche, I could add Matt in here. And now we got another chat window going on. So I have my original one for Carlos, and I've got my new one with the group of people. And I can add anybody I want, right? I can keep adding and adding and adding and adding people into that chat window. What else can we do in here? There's a ton of things. So we could start a video chat. If I start a video chat now, though, I am going to lose. Notice how Carlos is now responding to me because he's like, hey, I acknowledge this, so it stops bothering me. I can also see that he's seen it. There's a little eyeball underneath there. And then I can give him like a little emoji back, right? Saying, hey, I got it. Or if it's in a foreign language, I can even translate it. Now, this one's not in a foreign language, so I'm not going to translate anything. I can save the message or I can pin the message. So if I pin the message, It's going to hold that message for me so I can always go back and find it. I'm going to unpin it so I don't have that continual pinning going on. But it's nice to be able to use some of the additional features in there. If I wanted to reply to his acknowledgement, the direct reply, just like you would on like an iMessage, you can reply to just that message. And I can delete the message if I want to. If I created it, I can delete it. Or I can edit it. There are all kinds of additional features in the chat features, right? So we have all the emojis that you would have, right, for like a phone. We also have GIFs like we have now in phones, right? And we have little like clip art that Microsoft has given us also that we can use. Wait a second. I had never seen that one clip art there. That's pretty funny. So additional to that, there are all kinds of other little pieces in here that we can do, right? I can set up a meeting with Carlos and it'll schedule that meeting onto my calendar for me. I can do that because I don't want to have a meeting with Carlos right now. And then there's additional buttons that you can add. So one of them that I really like is the praise button. So you can send little praise to people, right? Say, you know, you did an awesome job, right? Thank you. And add a little note. And it'll send him a little praise. And then you can review his praise history. All the times you send him a praise or send somebody else a praise. I like the little unicorn. I think it's kind of funny. See, somebody in the chat sent me a message. John did. He sent the little laughing emoji.
I was laughing at the stapler.
Oh, the stapler joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you guys that don't know, there's a great movie called I think it's Office Space. That's hilarious. This guy, this swing line stapler. It's I don't want to give away the plot line, but it's a funny movie. You can do approvals in here too, right? Kind of a new feature that just got added. So I can do like a Adobe sign now or DocuSign, or I can just do a basic request and send somebody for an approval. Somebody just joined the meeting, and so this is a great feature that you can have people in your waiting room and they have to get approved to get in. So there's some training and some actual work at the exact same time. I'm just going to scoot that over to the next screen. All kinds of little widgets that you can add in here. You can add Power BI, you could add YouTube. You know, if there's certain things that you use, you can always add those features into the system. You'll see that at the top of the screen in your Teams, bring this down. So right here, you can see that I am currently presenting. So my status is, you know, do not disturb. It's got the little do not disturb, and then I'm presenting. So if somebody tries to hit me up on Teams, it's not going to pop up a message for me right now. It's going to just stick it over here and say, hey, you've got another message in your Teams to work with. You can have multiple Teams companies. Like I have a Microsoft one. IMCP is actually the Microsoft group that I'm a member of. So those are two Microsoft groups. You can also Teams people that are outside of your company. If there's somebody outside, Chris is on here, so I could hit Chris Ramsey if I wanted to. Send him a message. Hi. So it doesn't always have to be inside. If they are outside, they do have to have permissions set up that allow their outside stuff to go through. But if you're one of our customers and you want to get that setting changed, you can absolutely do it. So my setting is set to do not disturb, as it'll tell me that only urgent messages will come through. Chris is going to hit me back, obviously with a message, which is really nice of him to do. See, he's listening very intently. You'll notice that my number of selections when it's an external person is a lot smaller than an internal person. And that's just because you can't do everything with external people that you can do with internal. If you need a bigger space to type in, that's what that little button right there is for. Just gives you more space to kind of really think out your thoughts before you click that send button. You'll see I actually have grammar correct going on at the same time. That just allows me to fix things before I have Grammarly if you use that software. So that's what that little G is there in the corner. And that's so that if I type things like this is wrong and not important, it will go through and check my grammar and make sure it's okay. John asked the question, how do I make your presentation full screen? Oh, so you want to get rid of my like people? You can in the top corner where it says more, you can do full screen. And that'll make it full screen. So if I go to more and I go to full screen, it'll make it a full screen. Also, you know what? Let me exit my spotlight so that I'm not taking up so much of your screen. Sorry about that. One of the other things that I can do when I'm presenting is I can make myself overlaid so that I'm in a different position for you. I can make myself smaller. I can put myself over the screen.
One other thing I wanted to mention real quick for that question about how to make it even bigger. When you click on more, you can also click, there's an option for focus on content. And what that will do is it will kind of like minimize or even hide the gallery, which is, where all the cameras and stuff would be posted. So that's how you can kind of like make it focus more on the actual screen that's being shared.
That did it. Okay, great. The other thing is in here, I don't know if you guys, Carlos, can you see that I'm over the give control and start
No.
annotations? No, see, I
No.
don't think you can see that stuff. So let me do this real quick. Let me just take a screenshot of it. So at the top of my screen, you can't see this stuff. So I'm just going to throw it up on my whiteboard here. That. So you can see I can give control to other people depending on my company settings, whether or not I can do that internally or externally. This button right here allows me to do annotations. And then this button is kind of really cool. It allows me to share my sound. So if I want to play like a YouTube video, you click on that button, it'll share your sound to everybody. These are those buttons that I was actually clicking to move to being in the screen or on the screen and change my presenting. So I'm now presenting full screen, and got rid of myself. So you can change those pretty quickly and easily. Did I explain that? Okay, Carlos?
Yes.
Awesome. So like I can start annotations. And it's going to start up a little annotation screen, and now I can draw on top of anything. I can, it's not limiting, right? This is actually at the top of the screen. And I can put text on there. And I can move it around. And then I can delete it all. And I can give everyone permission to annotate, or only I can annotate. So it just depends on what permissions I want to give out. And then I can turn off annotations. Just that quick and easy. All right. By the way, you can, like I said, you can add a whole bunch of different apps in here. Wikipedia is kind of a cool app to add for inside your company. Somebody asks you something, you want to send them the information about it, right? Like, you know, when did the integrated circuit get built? Maybe Carlos needs to know that information. I can send that whole Wikipedia search to him. Maximize my whole screen. I think that is as big as I can make it. I can go that big. All right. So, I mean, like the Wikipedia one's kind of cool. I mean, there's a few others. And then you can click on more apps. You can see all the apps that are integrated into Teams. Teams is growing every day by adding more and more pieces to their stuff, right? One of the ones that we use a lot are Planner and To-Dos. It's a great way. So you can have your tasks over here, and these are actually your tasks that are in Outlook. So right now I have one task for parts inventory that's going on. It's got a due date. It's been assigned to somebody. I can click on it. It's not going to show me a whole lot here, but it is there. If I have other groups that have tasks, they can also be listed out here. So these are my other groups. So let's talk about teams, groups, what a team is, right? So I can create a team at any time that I want. So I've got a market bridge team. I've got a leasing team. I've got a lease return team. I got a delivery schedule team, an ADF fund team. The Copyco is actually our company. It's actually Seamless Solutions is our DBA. And then I have a purchasing team. And I have an IT team, right? So I can click on any of these teams and you can put information in there. You can start conversations. And send those out to the team, and then they can reply back to those different pieces of information. Kind of just gives you the ability to have some different functionality inside the team. The nice part about this is teams are great for creating like a small group. So you can create a team, and you can say manage a project team. Maybe it's an event team. They have these already pre-customized teams for you, right? Crisis communication. So let's see, what's probably a most common one that people would use? Let's do, crisis communication. And it's going to tell you these are the channels it's going to create automatically for me. And then it tells me what apps it's going to add to this team so that these are already ready to go. And then I click next. So I can either make it public for the whole organization or I can make it private. People need to join. I give the team a name. So let's say Spill in the break room. By the way, I can customize these if I don't like the way that they're, you know, maybe I want to call this one cleanup group. And then I can create the team. It won't take long. It'll go ahead and create that team for us.
Yeah. One thing to make note of here, to think about teams is really you kind of want to dedicate like teams to like a project. So like let's say you have like a project that you're working on for one of your clients and you want to dedicate, you want a couple different people to be able to work on that project. That's where the teams really comes into play. You can create a team just for that specific task or that specific project. And the idea is that the team will last as long as the project lasts. Maybe that project finishes, then you don't need the team anymore. You can basically get rid of the team, or there's even ways on the admin side to set for teams to expire, so that you don't end up with a lot of clutter of different teams and stuff. So, and then this feature, being able to create teams, is actually something that is open to everybody in the organization by default. That is something that can be changed, but anybody in your organization is technically able to create their own team and invite people to join that team.
And I don't have to sit here and wait. It actually tells me I can close this window and do other things. It'll let me know when it's done. But you can see it's already creating the team, and it's going to add the different channels that it's supposed to add to that team. We're just going to let it create in the background, let it go while we look at some other things. Okay. One of the nice things about teams is that you can also attach files in there and keep those files part of that team. So it creates a SharePoint site for files to go along with the team. So I can click on it, and then I've got, this is a report we have to send out for HP every week. So it's got a folder for each one of the reports, and then each one of the reports folders has all the files, the Excel files, and then anybody can open up that Excel file. And I just opened it up in Teams so I could view it. It's a full version of Excel that's in here, right? Any changes I make, by the way, right now I'm only in view only, but I can actually flip it over to edit, and it's going to say, if you're going to edit this, we're going to have to convert the format. Do you want to do that? Do you want to open it in the desktop app? So if I wanted to open it up in real Excel, I can do that. And now it opened that same file in Excel for me. It is saving it out to that Teams location. So if I save it, it's updating that Teams location. I can turn on autosave or not have autosave on. Oh, it won't let me do autosave. It's going to tell me some message here. This was created in an older version, so it can't have autosave turned on. That's the reason why, because it's a CSV file, not an Excel file. So if I save this as an Excel file, now I can turn on autosave is automatically by default turned on for all of our stuff that's on OneDrive or SharePoint. So it auto turned it on. I didn't have to do it. And now any changes that I make are automatically saved. So if I made this a zero, it's going to auto save it. So I don't have to worry about it. So even if I close out, it auto save that change for me. So if I open that one back up now, oh, I was in the CSV file. That's why I didn't update, but there it is. There are those two changes I made. And now that it's an Excel file, you can see I can actually edit from right here. I can even add comments so that people can See those comments. But it's nice. It's a great way to do it. By the way, I can copy a link from here and I can send it to the team, and the team can then edit the file if I want to edit one specific file or another. You'll see that it has those little 3 asterisks on it, little like a spray, right? That's saying that it's a new file. That's all that little indicator is. This is a new item. By the way, Microsoft's gotten really good at, if you hover over things, it'll tell you exactly what it's, more information about it. So when I hover over that, you can see it says this is a new item. You can add this to your own Dropbox if you want your own, and then see, hover over things and it tells you more. It can add it as a shortcut. So you don't add it to your OneDrive, it'll actually add it for you. And then you can open it in SharePoint if you want to open it in SharePoint, or you can sync this down to your local PC. If you like the grid view better, some people like this view a little bit better. I kind of don't like the grid view. I like the list view. So that's the one I always use. You can compact your list. And it makes it a little smaller, makes it easier to get to, especially if lots of files. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but now that spill in the break room, now it's got 4 channels on it. So all those channels. So if I want to show those channels, I can do that too. Right now, it's just me in this group. If I want to add more people to this group, I can come in here and add them. So if I want to add Carlos, and add Carlos to the group. I can add him as a member or an owner. So I'll just add him as an owner. And he'll get an email message that says you've been added to this group, and then he can come in and do the same thing. So just like I was in the other one, there's a files. Now you'll notice this file folder is completely empty. There's nothing in here. It's not hard to add a file. You can actually just drag and drop them in here. So all I did was I took a file from over here and I just drug it over, gave it a second, let it go. And it'll upload the file. Or I can click upload, right? And files, folder, whatever I want to upload. So upload file, it'll go out, find files. I can upload them. But the nice thing is everybody in the team would then have access to those files. Everybody can edit them. We can all change them at one time. I can even create a new file. I can come in here and say Word document. Create this Word document inside here. It's actually going to open up like a Teams version of Word for me to work in. It gave me a warning message. I was typing too fast. I didn't let it finish its process. Now, I don't know if you guys see up here, but it's actually saving it. So it's telling me that it's saving this document. And it'll have a version history. So the whole version of that document will keep going. So if Carlos hops in here, he can hop in here and he can start making changes and edits to this document too. I can open it in the desktop app if I don't like this app, but really every feature that you can think of that Word has that most people would use is actually in here. And I say most people because there are some exceptions. There's some things that maybe you don't have in here that you want to have that aren't in here. But you can do all, most of the main features. Spacing, right? All those great things. I can share the document with other people. I'll see. it just told me that's not the way you should do this, John. Do it like this. That's Grammarly, by the way. I like it. It works really nice. It's correcting my grammar as I go along in my life. So it's saved as I go along, and I can close it out, and then other people can go in there and edit it, change it, and I can always see the version history of it.
So something that's pretty cool. You remember when you sent me that super urgent alert earlier? It actually sends me an email too.
Oh yeah, that I did the urgent alert.
So when you do the super urgent, it's not just a chat message. It'll also send an email to the person to notifying that there was a message sent.
So I tagged LinkedIn into my thing. I guess that's you, right, Carlos?
Yes,
Does not look like you, man.
I was younger back then.
I haven't connected with him on LinkedIn, but I could connect now. So just some cool things you can do now.
Definitely had darker hair back then.
So it's still building out that team. It's still doing some features. It's probably still adding on. Notice I have a project planner in here. It's kind of cool. You can create a project. What's the work item, all that kind of stuff. Microsoft is adding to teams all the time. It is so difficult to stay up with all the features that it has, but it really is adding all the time. It built a little website for us, like a little Facebook website for us for a crisis team. Then you can come in here and change all those things. Notice how those documents that I uploaded, they're part of this website. So this is a SharePoint website is basically what it built out for you. And then you can edit it, change it, do whatever you want to do with it. So you can edit it at this point, and it'll pop it out and let you change it. Like these are not the real people. This is the Microsoft Contoso example. So I could delete these people off of it, and then I could add Carlos, right? And republish that page. These are only internal pages though, guys. So just be aware of that. This is only for inside your office. But if you wanted to have like a nice welcome to the company, page, you can do that. They actually, one of the teams is a new employee kind of orientation one. Content scheduler is, believe it or not, the same as that project planner that we saw before. It's just a different name. So you can see it's actually the same product. It's just named differently. You can rename these things anything you want. Latest updates. It's just another SharePoint site that you can edit. So it's created a whole bunch of stuff in here. Your teams don't have to be this elaborate. This is pretty elaborate, but they can be much simpler. Announcements is nice because you can come in here and say, today we are focused on cleaning the spill in the break room. And then if Carlos wants to respond to that, he can hit me back up on that. Right, Carlos?
Yes.
He didn't fall asleep over there.
Only partially.
So Teams is really nice for that kind of stuff. I can come into my calendar here By the way, my calendar looks like, chop suey, but if I skip ahead a few weeks and I say I want to create a new Teams meeting, I can create that Teams meeting right here. There are a whole bunch of different meeting options, right? So I can schedule a meeting, I can schedule a webinar like I'm doing right now, or I schedule a live event. So a live event is one directional. It wouldn't allow you guys to interact with us during the meeting, but a webinar allows you to interact.
Best way to think about a live event is like if you're doing like a public so if for like really big corporations, like a major shareholders meeting would be like a live event, for example, or some sort of like convention, like presentation, things like that. And you could get pretty insane with you can have up to like 10,000 people viewing a live event.
Yeah, I think the limit is 10,000, but yeah, it's a huge number. I mean, if you get more than 10,000 people viewing your live event, I'm very envious. And so I saw a little activity one, but if I click on it, it's going to tell me, I got to discard what I'm changing. I want to show you guys first. When you're creating a new webinar, you can create a registration form. You all filled out one of these to get into this event. And you can see here, you can add your speakers, right? So if I wanted Carlos to be the speaker, I can put his name in here. I can add whatever bio I want, and then add another speaker, so forth and so on. You can put a description, date, title, what fields do I want them to tell me when they register? And then do I want them required or not required? And then do I want an image at the top? And then once you have that, you can copy this link and then share it out to other people. And so they can then sign up for the meeting. There are all kinds of options, right, that you can come in here and do. Right, I can look at my scheduling assistant if I'm bringing other people in, or all that kind of things. All right. Now I'm going to discard that. I'm going to go see what the activity was. So Carlos did respond back to me on that message I put up there. And so it's just another piece of that message. We can give him a little thumbs up. Oh, somebody sent us a Teams. Yeah, like Facebook Live. Yes, exactly. One of the features that I want to show you guys in here now is there are now rooms, breakout rooms. This used to be one of the big things that Zoom was really pitching, was that you could do breakout rooms. Well, Teams can now do breakout rooms. I can now send Carlos over to a breakout room. Before I do that, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to automatically move him to the breakout room, but I'm going to let him return back whenever he wants to. I'm going to set him a time limit of like 15 minutes. So he can only stay in there for 15 minutes. And then I can open that breakout room for him, and he'll automatically get moved out of this meeting and over to that breakout room for us. It does take a second to happen, but he'll get pushed over to that breakout room. Then I can go join that breakout room, but that would pause this meeting, so I'm not going to do that. But Carlos has now disappeared out of here. He's in that breakout room. I can put other people in that breakout room, and then I can make an announcement to say, come back. Well, he jumped the gun, but he came back. And then I can, so since he left, it closed the room when he left, was the last person out. So now he's back and joining us. How was it in your breakout room? Were you having fun?
It was very quiet.
Very quiet. Okay. One of the features I liked is this together mode. Let's see if it's going to work for us. So Carlos, can you turn your video on for us? So there's Carlos over there. Hi, Carlos. We're all in our little room together. We could be at a conference table together, right? So there's Carlos and me. Kind of makes your, gets that more live meeting feel. If anybody else wants to turn on their camera, I'll be happy to let you guys join us in our fun and festivities. Let's see, allow camera, allow camera, allow camera, allow camera. I don't know why I can't do that as a group, but oh well. So if you guys want to turn on your cameras, you can come join us in our meeting. But if not, it's okay. It's okay. But I think it's kind of a neat way that when you're in a meeting together that you can kind of see each other on the same screen. You could be like Socrates and you can debate stuff, right? You can assign the seats, right? So I want to be way over here and put Carlos on the other side. And now we're on opposite sides of the screen. So just a neat little feature. Doesn't really do a whole lot of anything, but it's just a neat little feature. Flip back to the gallery. All right, Carlos. Sorry, man. You're back in the main screen. Sorry, there you guys. One of those features that I used earlier, I don't know if anybody saw it, but I was able to spotlight me. So that just makes me the center of attention. And then I can exit the spotlight. I can not be as important anymore. I have Q&A turned on. So if you did have a question, you can always ask that question. I can respond to it. What else am I missing, Carlos? Am I missing something else?
I think you covered pretty much everything.
Okay.
There's a
That's-
lot to do. I would say as far as the phone calls are concerned, even if you don't have it connected externally where you can dial out, you can still call people within your organization. Just like as if it was dialing an extension. They don't have extensions themselves. I mean, it's just going to open up like a meeting like this essentially. But any person in your organization, you can call them one-on-one and basically just do like a live meeting, so to speak.
So this is just a whiteboard. You can install the whiteboard app from Microsoft. You can just Google Microsoft Whiteboard, and it's a free little whiteboard app that you can use to draw on things. Put shapes, expand the shapes. So if you ever wanted a Visio style, diagram, but you don't want to spend the money on Visio, it's a great way of doing it. And the whiteboard is actually quite large. I'm just moving around that whiteboard. And then I can erase different aspects of it. Or I can circle it and then delete a whole bunch at one time. If I can get this one piece. There we go. But I mean, the little whiteboard.
So, John, Monica asks how she would like to see how we use Teams on a daily basis, like a real world example.
A real world example? Sure. Mm-hmm. So, Carlos, how would we use Teams on a real world example?
So, I mean, it's definitely meetings is a big thing that we do. And the chat is another big, at least for me, is something that I use a lot of. And I can go ahead and share what it looks like for me. This is where I spend the majority of my time. And I have a bunch of chats pinned, for important things, discussions. I even use this this is a feature I use. You can actually chat with yourself. And this is what I actually use when I go on site and I take pictures. I basically send those pictures from my phone to myself so that I can pull it up on my computer later on. And sometimes I'll just put notes for myself like, oh, this is something I need to do. So that's actually, you can self chat with yourself. I would say that's something that is pretty useful. We have different chats for different reasons. This one's dedicated to, a specific client, specific issue, and it's only got, just a couple of us in here that deal with this client. We can see the Teams training class here as well. That we that's this chat right here where I read your question.
So we don't use Teams normally for chat requests. If you put one in, we'd open a ticket, but you can Teams us, sure. We have it open.
Yeah.
Anybody that has Teams, you can go to chat right now and send us a Teams meeting, Teams, hey John, what's going on? I mean,
That's something you can like connect organizations by default. Organizations are kind of open to kind of enable collaboration between yourself and external partners. That's something that can always be changed. But
it is closed by default. I think we have to open it, or maybe that's changed over time, but it used to be closed and now it's open. Either way, it can be updated in your admin portal.
Yeah.
But I
So
mean, definitely chat communications. Like I work on one side of the building and Carlos works on the other. Instead of getting up to go meet on things, we Teams to each other all the time and may hop on just a call or share screens. We share screens a lot.
yes. And if you do need to, Teams chat someone, like let's say what I was talking about, the phone feature, if you need to call somebody, I can just call them using this button right here. And that will call that person. I'm not sure what will happen. I think it's just going to pause the meeting for me if I do that.
You do,
But
yeah.
you can call them. You can also do a video call, which will, start it with camera. If you do just the audio call, it's going to start without cameras, but you can always turn that on later. And then you can do, I believe this is a screen sharing option. So I can share my screen with that person. We can share files. So
and we do that a lot. We'll share a file.
Here's a file that was sent to me that, this is on their SharePoint. I can download it to my computer, or I can just open it.
So those are some of the, we use Teams at least 100 times a day, it feels like. Meetings, Teams trainings. Normally when we want to train somebody on like how to do something, we'll create a Teams meeting. We'll record that meeting so they have it for later, right? So why do something 100 times when you can just record the meeting and let them go back and review what you showed them? So like if I needed to train on Excel, instead of me asking you to come to my desk, I would just call Miguel and I would say, hey, let's take a look at this. Do you know how to do, milestones in Excel? And he'd probably go, no. And then I would show him how you can actually do milestones in Excel. So this is kind of a neat feature. So I can just put in here, and it'll add that piece to this milestone mapping, this graphical. So there's all kinds of things like that, but training is pretty much a big feature of how
Another really nice thing with Teams is that, it's integrated with the other Microsoft apps. So, for example, right now you see John is sharing his Excel sheet. But if we were one-on-one and needed to work on the same Excel sheet, he doesn't need to share a screen. We would just have the meeting up to have the conversation, and I can open up the spreadsheet on my own computer and make edits from my own machine without having to, without him being the only one that's in that file necessarily. So there's a lot of ways to collaborate, um, that integrates with the other Microsoft products that they have.
So, I mean, a lot of training is done through this. I would say that we probably do 95% of our training with internal employees and even external customers through Teams. Makes it very easy to train people, show people how to do things, open up that software, change whatever you need to do in that software. And then you can give control and let them do it and record that they did it correctly, right? What other things do we do with Teams? We do so much. We do use the teams, the teams that are in Teams, right? That I was talking to you about before. We store files in there that we share. That Market Bridge one was actually a great example. We have 6 people that can do that report. It's due once a week, and somebody has to submit it. We have to know that it was taken care of. So if somebody doesn't take care of it, then we'll know. The nice thing about Teams is they aren't, if your admin if you created the team, you can delete the team. So if you're the owner, it will tell you if I'm deleting this, that it's going to be deleted.
So John's asking about Teams data backup.
Yeah, we have a software package that backs up Teams data outside of Teams. Yes, there is.
And there's also in Teams, so I mentioned earlier about, you can create teams for specific projects or specific tasks. Once that team is no longer required in Microsoft, you can actually set up retention periods for how long how long that data is retained for before it's eliminated. And thank you, Monica, for showing up.
Yeah, thanks, Monica. And we're actually coming to the end of our time frame, guys. So do you have any other questions for us or concerns, or is there something we didn't go over that you wanted to know about Teams? We could spend forever looking at all the different little Teams intricacies. Like there's reactions in Teams, right? And if you didn't know this, you can actually raise your hand. And so I'm going to share my screen. Carlos, will you raise your hand for me? So you can see that I raised my hand, then Carlos raised his hand second, right? Because you can see 1, 2. And then I can actually lower his hand. I didn't like his question at all. So, or you can lower your own hand.
I would say one of the things that we haven't really gotten into yet, but this is something that we're moving towards at Seamless is we're looking to actually get rid of our on-premise phone system entirely and move to a soft phone system that would be through Teams. So that's where that integration, we currently have it enabled. We can make external calls. We can call to any active phone number, at least in the US and Canada, I believe. I'm not sure if we have international licensing, but
you can have international licensing.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
One of the other features is, and I want to show you guys this before we get too long in the tooth here. It's kind of a new feature they just came out with, which is turn on Coach Talk. So now I'm talking, but only Carlos is hearing me. right?
I can still hear you, John. Yeah.
You can hear me. The rest
Oh.
of the group can't.
John heard me. John hears you.
Oh, can he? Can you still hear me?
Chris hears you.
Man, I gotta
Apparently it
figure out.
didn't work.
I gotta turn it on better. Oh, I just stopped it. What the heck? I gotta figure out how that works. All right. It will listen to you and analyze your speech. Oh, it's gonna listen to me. That's all it is. It's never mind. That's not what I thought it was. That's a new feature. I hadn't seen it yet, so I'm gonna dig more into what that is. But they're always adding new things to this software. Like that's brand new. I hadn't seen that before. I just saw it when we were clicking around. You know, there are always new things coming out. I know that with Windows 10, you can even, or Windows 11, you can turn on the accessibility mode, and it'll transcribe my speech for you. So it's a nice new feature, especially if you're hard of hearing or anything like that.
And like an
So-
auto caption feature.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Any other questions or anything else that we can go over in these last 30 seconds?
Any other questions, guys? Did we get everything? Did we answer everything there was ever to know about this piece for you guys? I think I got it.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can.
Oh,
Welcome
yeah.
aboard.
I need the Teams 101 class. I think you asked me why you were back. But also, is Zoom anything like Teams? Do you know much about Zoom?
Zoom is similar. I used
It-
Zoom in the past. It is a dedicated meeting software. So that's really all it focuses on. It doesn't have the same sort of, I guess, depth, I guess you would say, where you can set up like groups and yeah, the integration with 365 exactly. It's really focused on presentations and meetings and stuff, and it does a good job at that. But it doesn't have things like, you know, the phone, like like an integrated soft phone system. It doesn't have
What? Oh, the
the
guy called me from Zoom? I mean, because we just have like 2 people that use Zoom. And he called me specifically and said he'd do a presentation and that we could get rid of our phones at 2. I don't know. I don't know. I really wasn't, I didn't expect the call from him, but he was like, oh yeah, I can show you, you can get rid of the phones. And I mean, I wasn't really,
Yeah, Zoom has a voice over IP function to it, just like Teams does. You could definitely, go that direction. And Teams and Zoom are competitors, right? They're Microsoft,
I
made
mean, we have
Teams.
both. I mean, we have Teams, but someone wanted, outside of the company wanted to use Zoom, so we had to get Zoom. I wasn't, for any reason getting Zoom,
Mhm.
It's just another thing you have to buy, right? If you're already paying for Teams and it
Right.
does, there's lots of comparisons between Zoom and Teams. There are features that Zoom has that Teams doesn't have. I don't know of any feature really that stands out that Zoom now has that Teams doesn't have. The breakout rooms was the big feature that they were touting for a long time, but now Teams had it in early 2022. But there's really they're both direct competitors with each other, so they have a lot of the same functionality.
well,
Yeah.
Teams looks phenomenal, but there's a lot to learn. But yeah, and we already have it, and everybody
Yeah.
has it here. We had to buy 2, subscriptions to the Zoom, so it's like, why buy more if we already have Teams?
Yeah, and
So
John's yelling at us that you can run Zoom in
No,
a
I
browser.
was yelling as cap lock was on. I'm sorry.
I know, just teasing you.
Yeah.
But you can run Teams, believe it or not, in a browser too, right?
Yes.
People that don't have Teams can run it as a browser. So either program, you don't have to download the app for both. But there's a lot of people that really prefer Zoom. Carlos has been on conference calls with me when I'm yelling at vendors because they want to use Zoom and not Teams. We feel like there's no need to spend additional money on Zoom
Yeah.
since you have all the functionality already in Teams.
Right.
Yeah, if you're already
know.
paying for the license,
Right.
So, and I've actually used there's even more than Zoom, there's like Blue Jeans, there's,
WebEx.
man, there's a WebEx. Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there.
There's
That
one
all
called,
do
what is it? Meet Me, right?
Meet
Meetme.com.
Me. I forget the one I used at my last job. I think we had just switched to Teams actually, and I think that was the one I liked out of
there's
the most out of them.
Yeah, there's meetme.com. Zoom just became really popular during COVID, and people that weren't familiar that they already had this product with Teams were hopping on Zoom, not knowing that Teams existed. So they got a ton of free press. So I mean, I don't think Zoom is competitively any better or any worse than Teams, but it's just a different product. It's just
Okay.
like, Big Pen versus, I don't know, Mont
Okay.
Blanc.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Microsoft is the Mont Blanc of conference
Sure.
products.
Okay.
Some people love Teams or Zoom, but there's not a functionality I can think of that this product doesn't already do for you.
You should be able to also, even if you're meeting with someone external and they insist on using Teams, like you should never need to purchase a license to join somebody else's Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Really you buy the license if you're going to be doing a lot of presenting or specific things. So,
Okay.
yep. So you can have both. You don't need to necessarily choose.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a cost thing. If you want to buy a second one, you can always do that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Hey,
guys,
John.
yes. Yeah.
John Will here. John and Carlos, I sent you an email, but if you have time sometime in the next few days, can we discuss? I know it's something y'all are thinking about doing at Seamless. I'm also very interested in using Microsoft Teams to replace our current phone system that we have, which is we have our own on-site, PBX. Do
Yep.
they make desk phones for those people that don't want to use Teams? Do they make a desk phone that would integrate right into it?
Yes.
Yes. There is, so you can set up, if you want to use your own existing PBX, you can actually do that with Teams. And but if
Well-
you want to upgrade, that's something you
Yeah.
can also do.
No, mine is about 8 or 9 years old. I'm ready to trash
Yes.
on site.
That-
I want to go fully off site. So if something happens, we've got a Cat 3 that hits Houston. I can switch. Phones won't go down. In other words, people can still communicate.
So let me share my screen. I just pulled up the Teams approved phones.
And I know we're going over with this, and I'm fine on time. I don't know about y'all.
I got a few more minutes I can spare here.
Okay.
Let me share the screen with you. So yes, there are a lot of, this is the European site. Shoot, I pulled up the wrong one.
Oh, Yealink. Okay, cool.
But there are Yealinks that are out there for these things.
Yeah.
And they've come down a lot in price.
Well, I've got a couple of their cordless phones. I've got one cordless phone for my receptionist, and it works beautifully all over the office.
Let's see if I can Google
So
this the
I'm
right way.
Happy with
Microsoft
that product.
desk phones. Yeah, so I mean, any of them that are, they'll say on them that they're Teams approved.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Yealink, of course, has a whole bunch of them. This is on a Tech Data, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure they're
but,
cheap.
but I mean, Yes, basically, like here it is. There's the Teams phone for $100, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's all we would need for a majority of our desks here is just something, just a handset with a keypad for the people that aren't hardcore into Teams that still want to make a phone call.
Yes.
Well, and I would, so I mean, here's the thing. Like I said, if you have a headset, right,
Yep.
and you pop up your Teams menu, right, and
You
I
don't
click
even
on
need
the,
a phone.
I can just dial right from here.
Yeah, I know, but I've got people that I have old people in my office, and I say that because I'm 58, but I have old people in my office that won't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the nice part about that is you can flip over to your contacts here, right, and pull up
Yeah.
any of your contacts and dial them right from here.
And you can do this on your cell phone too.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's the same
So-
phone number from your cell phone.
Right. And could we assign, like we have DIDs to everybody's desk, so could we assign within Teams, like mine is 654-8533, Glenn's is 654-8529. We could assign those
Yes.
DIDs.
You can
You-
you can set up extensions. It basically you can have essentially a PBX that's through Microsoft that handles that. As far as the extensions, like within Microsoft doesn't need extensions at all, actually. So
Okay.
what that feature I was showing already by default, what you have already right now, that you could just click on their name and click the little phone icon and call them.
Yeah.
That is the same. That's part of that phone system that Microsoft has.
Okay.
But there is a way to set it up where you can have your own external phone system that would go to a physical phone. It is something that can be set up for sure. So that is something that we can do.
And then
Yeah,
the other question is on my wonderful Ricoh copiers that I have from you guys, fax capability on those. There
No
are
fax. You can't do
cannot
that's
do-
the
okay.
only thing that you cannot do through the Microsoft
Hey, Carlos.
through Microsoft.
Carlos.
Mhm.
We can't do it through Microsoft, but we do have cloud faxing. We can
Okay.
either do it through our partnership with Vonage or a partnership with GoldFax, whichever way you want to go.
All right. I do
Yeah.
have a device. I do have a device on my network right now that does voice over IP to analog, actually, and it works great. And I can't tell you the name of it offhand because it's just I'm getting old and I forgot. But set it up a while back and never look back on it. So that may also be an option. But that's nitty gritty stuff. But good to know that this is here. I'm glad you mentioned it, John. If you mentioned it or Carlos, because this PBX we have right now, like I said, is 8 years old. I'm having to pay quite a bit for licensing every year on it, and I'm ready to move on to something else. So
Yeah, I will warn you though, with the Microsoft phone, the one limitation is their IVR set. And that's basically like when you dial in and it says press 1 for this or press 2 for that.
right.
It's that's
Don't do that.
spanning. Okay, you don't do that?
Oh, we have a receptionist. Our CEO does not like IVR. He does not want that.
Neither do I. We don't use it here at all. So
Yeah.
I don't.
Thank
I
you. I don't like
agree.
it either.
I think human beings are better. Go to a live human being. But
Okay.
a lot of people still like those IVR trees.
Mm-hmm.
The Microsoft one is pretty flat. It's like,
Good.
Mhm.
Keep it
Like-
that way.
Cisco phone systems have like, we built one for a college one time and it was like 72 layers deep.
Holy cow.
Oh yeah, like so you
Insane.
press 1 for this person. If that person's not there, it rolls to this person. And then if that person's not there, it rolls to another IVR, and that IVR then has 12. You can't do that with the Microsoft system.
Good.
But with Cisco, you could. But I agree with you. I think that if you like simple phone systems, man, the Microsoft is like the way to go, because you can get it down to just paying your regular Microsoft 365 license. You can even pay us. We can set it up for you and get it all done for you. Right, Carlos?
Yeah.
Carlos just got certified on
I'm certified on
Teams.
that. So
On what?
Teams. He's actually now a Microsoft
okay.
certified Teams implementer. So
Great.
he actually just took the test and passed and is very proud of himself. So
Nice.
and we're very proud of him too.
Good to know.
By
So-
the way, guys, I noticed that a lot of people don't have on their teams, they don't have their picture on there. Does everybody know how to update your picture right here?
Probably just click on it or right click on it or something.
You just click right here and you can upload your picture.
Okay.
You know,
I just have to
There's a-
find a good picture of me. There's one from when I was like 21 and I'm in a water ski vest that I could probably use, but
there you go. We have people that put all kinds of crazy things in there. So
yeah.
it's just a like, let's see. So
Got Lloyd's picture.
Samantha's pictures, you know,
Little Yoda.
little
Yeah.
Grogu.
Chris is like baseball player, right? When he was,
Right.
you know. So I mean, it doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be you. Yeah.
Well, that's good because we have, we've got 45 people here now, and when new people come in, they don't know who's who, and this could be a good way to.
Yeah. Put a face to a name.
Yeah, we don't have nameplates on our doors either. That just are next to the door. To
Right.
our house.
I love it because like when I want to get in touch with Carlos, if I click on him and I see he's red, I know he's busy right now. Like he's in
Yeah.
a call.
Right.
Like I can see his status. He didn't change that. That's just because he's on this call with us.
Correct.
And if you have that integrated with your phone system, right, then it works out great. I can also see like Scott's, he
Scott's
doesn't have
always busy. His will always be red.
his is like not there, which basically means he doesn't have it open right now, right? But I can see James right here, and I can see like, hey, he's available, he's green, so I can hit him up and say, hey, man.
So, and we can save this for another time, but I'm had a few younger users message me on Teams for support call. Hey, I'm having problems with this or I'm having problems with that. I need to be able to leverage Teams to be able to, because right now I tell everybody, email me, don't text me, because if you text me, I'll read it, I'll forget about it, I can't mark it as unread. If you send me an email message with your request, then I can mark that as unread and flag it and then come back and take care of it later. That's kind of how I run support.
And we didn't talk about it, but in Teams, right, so I can take and I'm chatting with, Maria.
Uh-huh.
If I want to pop her information out and push it off to, another screen or put it in the corner, right, I can put it over here. If I have Outlook open, I don't normally open this on it. I got to cut this out of the Teams recording. But like, if I got something from somebody, like here's something.
Well, there's one from me right there.
Yeah,
right
there you go. So I could pop this open. I got you right here. I could actually just start a chat with you right from here. So I don't have to like go find you in Teams. I can just chat with you
Right. Okay.
I guess we have.
Don't forget Mark Deshandra is unread.
Well, and so I can start a Teams chat with her. Just keeps jumping up, and then so I can start that Teams chat with her and just blue, right?
Okay.
Go from there.
But the other way around, if somebody sends me a message in Teams through chat, how do I make that like so I don't forget about it? If they say, "Hey, I need some help with this," and it's not
the message.
And it's not urgent. What's the best way to flag it as, "Hey, so and so needs assistance with something, but I need to come back later and address it."
One thing I like to do, I like to pin conversations. Like if there's a conversation I'm working, you can see his list here. John, if he wants to come back to this conversation, you can pin it and it'll put that chat at the top.
It always stays at the top. Okay. And then when you
stay at the top,
it'll drop down. Okay.
Yeah, you can
Nice.
you can have it.
So I
drop
can go
back
see
down.
Chris Ramsey's little. We were joking back and forth. He said thank you, and we're very flamboyant.
No, that's good. We all do that here. It's a fun place to work. So.
And then when I'm done with it, right, I can. By the way, you can mute people too, right?
Or block them.
You can block them. Internally, you can't block. You can only mute. You can hide them, but you can't block them.
Got it.
That that feature's only for external.
Okay.
And then when I unpinned him, you notice it disappeared because it went
Yeah.
down in the list.
It
Oh.
just goes back to usually by default it's whoever pinged you most recently. So you can see your chat was, third down. But if you
Right.
pin it, it's gonna put it at the top of the list no matter what. And any new conversations will show up there.
Okay.
So if I message John,
Yeah, I never thought about this. I can do the same thing on my phone with SMS. I have my wife is pinned at the top of my phone, so she's priority. So
exactly.
she's always there at the top. And if somebody else texts me, I can pin them for the duration of that for the duration of that request, and then I can unpin them and they'll fall back down. They'll filter back down.
Exactly.
Good
So
to know.
that's kind
Never
of how
thought
I
about doing
use the
that. That's great.
pins. Yeah, that's how I use it. Is I have the most, like the group chats that we use a lot. I have those pinned, and
Okay.
maybe a couple individuals that I'm working with.
Yeah.
I'll have it pinned as well.
Okay. All right, but let's the three of us or whoever needs to get together and talk more about this soft phone prospect. I know it's kind of in its infancy on your end, correct?
Well,
No.
we've already implemented it. We haven't done the full transition, so we're kind of operating both phone systems right now.
Oh, okay.
But eventually we're gonna move fully to soft phones.
I mean, the
at some
challenge
point.
for us is that we own the Cisco phone system and we program Cisco phone system. So there's no cost to us for the current system.
Right. Yep.
The licensing from Microsoft is where we'd have to add. So we're looking at, it's an additional cost. That's all it is.
Okay. Of course.
But if you're already paying for a phone system and licensing and everything like that, then you have an offset. For us, there's no real offset. So that's the challenge.
But the good side is that with Microsoft and Teams, like you said, they've been adding things to Teams, and my current phone system is there's not much being added to it. So,
and they are adding to this system all the time, every day.
There's some pretty cool stuff out there that they added. I know, and I'm talking think like a university, for example. They